Jason Bell Podcast, everybody, come on. Woo! Here we go. Wherever you are in the world, I'd like to say a massive thank you once again for listening. Think about it now, the millions of podcasts to choose from. So it's a genuine honor to have your company once again. I say once again, you might be tuning in for the first time. If you like the positive and inspirational vibe that we bring, don't forget you can catch up with any of the episodes anytime on Apple or Spotify. I've had the good fortune to talk health, fitness, and how to keep, and more importantly, how to preserve a positive mindset with some truly inspirational people over my podcast series. These include people like Paul McKenna, Katie Piper, Lorraine Kelly, Chris Moores, Beverly Knight, Tommy Mallet. It goes on and on and on. So if you're looking for something that is religion and politics free and is designed primarily to educate, lift, and inspire, then you've come to the right place. Now, talking to people who can most certainly lift and inspire you, my guest today is one of the most down-to-earth and genuine people I know. He's a singer, he's a songwriter, he's a coach, television presenter, model, voice actor, Instagram king, and a pretty mean footballer to boot. He's also a triple platinum album seller, And although he's been singing all his life, it's only in the last few years that he's really found the voice. Bit of a clue there. That's right. He's the man with the X Factor, undisputed. Yes, I can, of course, only be talking about the second most famous Murs since Golden Frankincense. It is, of course, it's Olly Murs, everybody. It's Olly Murs. Hello, Olly.
Do you know what? It's great to talk to you, Jason, but the fact that you called me a model, I mean, I'll take that. Listen,
I so appreciate you being on. I thought I've got to big you up from the start. No, do you know what I mean? I just thought otherwise it could all go a little bit wrong. Because I know I called you the Instagram king, which I'll come on to hopefully in this, because you genuinely really are. I mean, it's unbelievable. I follow your Instagram. I think it's absolutely fantastic.
Thank you.
This morning, the morning of recording this, just to give people perspective on some point when they're listening to this, because they might be listening to it when it first comes out or later on. We're recording this. I happen to be in Spain while I'm recording this. Olly, of course, back in the UK. We're both on lockdown. It's during the lockdown series. So Olly's been obviously locked down like most people and obviously on Instagram. But this morning on his Instagram, and I knew we had a podcast to record, and I saw your post, Olly, saying, today I don't feel like doing anything. I just want to stay in bed.
I'm very glad that you say that about my Instagram, because, you know, I find social media really difficult at times. I don't know, just what to say or what not to say, or, you know, because you get judged so quickly on it. So I just try and make sure that it's as positive and as fun as possible for people that might be having a bad day, that, you know, when they click on my social media page, that there's some laughter or something fun for them to see. Because, you know, we all have in our difficult moments, and, you know, I've had many difficult moments myself. So I have people that I follow for inspiration and positivity. And weirdly enough, over the last year, you've been one of them people, actually, Jason, that I've followed and enjoy your positivity. And I think it's nice that, you know, there's a good balance on social media. So I just try and be one of them people. So it's nice when people like yourself say that about me.
Honestly, and I know so many people that have genuinely been actually new to your Instagram as well during lockdown. And based on the fact that not only is it incredibly well put together, I remember when you came on the retreat, and I remember you being in the car on the way back after being on the retreat. And one of the things that I remember, no, that wasn't being sarcastic. I mean, you recorded a video while on the transfer that I would take 3 weeks to try and edit and put together. And it was brilliant. And your videos have just got better and better and better.
I remember you saying, like, you know, I want you to come to the Juice Retreat. I don't want you to be doing any social media. You're here to enjoy the experience, and you're here to just, you know, relax and juice and just enjoy the surroundings. And I was like, yeah, cool. I really appreciate it that you don't want to use me for that, which is fine. But I'll be honest with you, Jason, I genuinely, I do a lot of different things for people. And I thought it was very refreshing that you said that, but also, at the end of it, I just felt like I have to show my fans, I have to show my family and friends, I have to show everyone how amazing this place is. And that is not me reading this off a script, by the way, for anyone that's listening. Genuinely, I did that video and I put time and effort in, again, like I do on every Instagram post that I do or anything that I edit, is just to show people how amazing things are in the world. There's some amazing places to go. And that retreat really helped me this year. Like, I can't tell you how amazing it was. And I'm sure you hear this all the time, and I don't want to give you a big enough head because it's huge as it is. But genuinely, it was one of the best experiences of my life. Just to tell people the story. So we'd obviously got to the Juice Trip, me and Amelia. Jason was amazing. You know, greeted me when I arrived and took us to our room and, you know, really sort of not sold the dream, but told us what it was all about and how it was going to work. And, when you first get there, my first thought was like, how am I actually going to spend 7 days in this retreat? One, it looks amazing. How am I going to go 7 days without eating anything, And that's a really interesting thing that I spoke to a lot of my friends about. And that's the first thing they asked me. I'm sure they ask you and lots of other people about that same thing. What? Oh my God, you couldn't eat for 7 days? Yeah, I mean, it really wasn't that hard. At first, I questioned myself. Could I do it? But you know what? And my manager and my friends and everyone that knows me, that when I came back from the trip, obviously, my results were amazing. But it wasn't that hard. And actually, the retreat itself made it very, very easy. It's harder at home. It's harder.
Much harder at home.
It was much harder for me when I got home and I did it here. And I was working and I was at The Voice and I was still trying to juice. And it was really hard at home because the temptations were there. And what I loved about the retreat was that, we had our salad on the first day of arrival. And that was it. And then you flush and you detox for a whole week. No, you do. You get your salad. And we were lucky. We did it in the winter period. And by the way, for everyone listening, that's the best time to go. Do not go in the summer.
Well, they've got no chance of going this summer. It's closed during lockdown. Of
course. But if you're going to go, book between January and April because you get the soup. The soup's amazing, by the way. That really helped me. But no, I want to tell the story about So we get there, we meet everyone. Everyone sort of doesn't really say, we'll say hello and everyone's in their own little circles. And you start chatting to people because you want to start learning about where people are from and why they're here and what their reasons are. And everyone's got a different reason. And no one had obviously at this point, and I don't expect people to know who I am all the time, and I don't expect people to ever say anything. Sometimes you get sarcastic comments, sometimes you get someone that goes, "Oh, you look familiar, who are you?" And you get that sort of stupid stuff. But everyone was really respectful, never really said anything. And so we get to our first session, which you call the introduction. You introduce everyone. And at this point, I'm thinking, knowing you already as I do the first 24 hours, I'm thinking he's going to say something. You do the massive introduction chat. You don't say anything. And I'm thinking, oh, God, it is like the elephant in the room. And then we get on the trampolines. And obviously, if you've ever been to the Juice Retreat, there's this amazing workout on the trampolines, which I've never done before in my life. But I tell you what, I can't wait to come back to do it again because it was so much fun. And your energy, Jason, was phenomenal. I'm not criticizing the other trainers, but...
No, they're rubbish. Oh, they're rubbish.
Just a whole...
No, they are. They're absolutely rubbish.
No, but you are just on a whole another level. And I was very grateful you was there for that week. But you playing all these songs and I was so in the workout, and then you just dropped Dance With Me Tonight about halfway through and you introduced it as this is one of the greatest songs of all time. You were just selling this song like it was a Beatles song or a Queen song or a Michael Jackson song, and then you came into my song and it was just hilarious and everyone laughed, and obviously then you made a joke about me and it was nice. It was very...
It got the elephant out of the room because everybody knew you were there and stuff. And a couple of surreal moments was that, obviously, you were bouncing on a trampoline to your own song at the retreat. I felt, Napoleon Hill stuff. It's just that I can't imagine that when I left school at 15. I mean, it's just incredible. I thought, Ollie's here doing that. But moreover, people pay fortunes to have you sing. We have a cryogenic chamber at the retreat. And it's where you get frozen by about minus 170. Of course, Ollie's very competitive. So, the colder I had it, the colder he must have it. And, even if it was going to kill him. But in order to get me through, because it was so cold, I was in competition mode as well. So I just I was going to beat Olly.
What was really good about it was actually the reason that we were singing. It was because, when you are cryo chambering, which by the way, I fully recommend, and we were doing it twice a day. And, I'm sure Jason spoke many times on podcasts or on his social media about the benefits of it and what it does to your metabolism and also what it does for your mindset. And it gives you such an energy boost, and it's good for your skin. It's good for arthritis. It's good for everything. And we used to just sing.
I didn't sing. Let's be honest.
No, you didn't sing, but I was just singing to get through the 2 minutes or 3 minutes of. But
I was getting a 12-minute concert a day. No, listen. For those of you listening that are massive Olly Murs fans, you can only imagine. I'm in a tiny room with Olly. He's being frozen half there.
No.
Talk about surreal.
You're missing the key points. We're in a tiny room, naked, with our pants. wearing gloves and wellies
and boots. We're wearing boots and gloves, having only just met. And Ollie's saying, "Name a song, and I'll sing it for you." And I was like, "Is this actually happening?" I remember a couple of times going, "This isn't happening." I remember calling.
Listen, I just want to say, like, so many stories I could sit and talk hours about it, but just wanted to say, like, the retreat itself was fantastic, and it kept my mind occupied. It kept me busy. The walks, the people, the energy, your energy, the games, tasks, and everything we got to do on the trip. I can't speak highly enough of it. And I've told many people close to me just how incredible it was. The reason I did that video is because I just wanted to, I didn't know what else to do. I didn't know how else to say thank you. I know you'll say, oh, don't be stupid. But I just felt doing that video was a great way of showing my fans. And the reaction was just phenomenal. And it was unbelievable, the reaction, and I couldn't appreciate you doing it more. And that led me to then obviously just pay a little bit more attention. I was really paying attention to your Instagram, but it's just improved and improved and improved. And no, it really, and it's funny because you talk about social media, about having to be careful. And I remember at one point during lockdown, and I understand why you would have felt the need, but actually, I did comment on it where you were saying, look, some people have commented about a couple of my posts. They were hilarious, right? It's jokes, it's banter, particularly with your girlfriend. It was just hilarious. Yeah.
And of course, you felt some people were saying that's a bit inappropriate. That's this, that, and the other. And I did point out at the time saying offense cannot be given. It can only be taken. It's not your choice, Olly, if somebody takes offense or not. It's a personal decision of theirs. It's not down to you.
Of course.
It's a personal choice.
Yeah, and I never did any of my pranks or any of the videos that I post. I really think about what I'm doing, and I never, ever expected any of my videos that I post. Listen, I take full responsibility. Obviously, like I said in my post and stuff that I posted on Twitter and all the other sites, that I apologize to anyone that is ever offended by anything I post, but it's never intentional to hurt anyone's feelings, or I just did it just to have a laugh with me and my girlfriend. So yeah, it does hurt you when you feel like you've upset someone. I'm one of them people that I'm so ultra sensitive that if I feel that just 1 second that someone's upset by something I've done, it really affects my day. It affects me because, I had this thing when I came off X Factor in 2010, and it sounds ridiculous, but I felt that the country hated me because they didn't vote for me to win. And it sounds ridiculous, but I lost. I lost in the final, and I was so devastated. Wow. And I didn't know how to cope with it. And I remember speaking to my manager, Harry, at the time, and Harry basically said, you can't please everyone, and not everyone is going to like you, Olly. You've got to accept that. You can't be the nice guy. You are the nice guy, and we love you, and you're amazing. But you're not going to please everyone, and you need to learn that very quickly, especially in the music industry or in the showbiz world, that there is going to be a lot of people that won't like you. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to say nasty things about you. You just need to stay true to yourself and who you are. Well, that was a good piece of advice. I mean, obviously, it's a great piece of advice, but as you've already alluded to, it is easier said than done, isn't it? And like you said, if you do, and I think one of the downfalls of being such a nice person, and I know it sounds like, honestly, I've met a lot of people in this industry. I've said to you privately, and I genuinely mean it. It's very, very rare. You always reply to messages, you always get back. And if you don't, then you say, oh, sorry, I haven't got all these things that you'd never expect somebody in your position to ever. You've remained Olly Murs. You just remained yourself. And the challenge with that, and here's the downfall of caring, is that when you care, the problem, some people don't care, have the best night's sleep in the world. When you do care about people, and it can be a downside because especially if you're on social media and you have millions of followers as you do, there's bound to be the odd jealous egg that starts posting some, and it could be an old school friend that just still has resentment for you, Oz, because you've been successful. And social media, I have like everyone, I think I have my good days with it. I see so many positive comments, every single day it's full of love and a lot of people that are very nice to me, and then there's the negativity, which again, we have sometimes in life, you have to accept that, with any success, there is going to be
absolutely.
And I'm sure you could probably sit here with the career you've had with the Juice Retreat. There's going to be many people that will be positive about it, and there'll be a lot of people that are negative about it.
Hang on. People negative about my Juice Retreat? Never in a million. I don't know what on earth you are talking about.
No, but I mean, there'd be jealous people and people that would say, "Oh, it's a load. It doesn't work."
No, there are. Do you know what? It's funny though, because I actually literally yesterday I came off of Twitter. I just closed my account. And and it's the first time I've done that. And it's because I thought, what purpose is this negativity serving me? I just thought virtually everything I read on Twitter was so angry. So unlike Instagram, which is very upbeat, very lovely, or the vast majority.
Yeah.
And that's where you've come in. I mean, did you hone those skills? Because you were recovering from, I mean, last year you had a year and a half, to say the least, in 2019. Now you thought that was a bad year, and then 2020 reared its ugly head with lockdown. But, you know, nobody saw this coming. But
well, I planned for lockdown. And,
of course you did.
I was obviously, for people listening, I had an ACL reconstruction, so it was quite a big deal.
But how did you struggle with that? Because fitness is huge. You've always been involved. I mean, not only were you an ex-semi-pro footballer, I'm going to get on to the fact that you part own a club now as well. I mean, football's in your passion. I mean, you do soccer aid and everything else. Plus, of course, you do a lot of workout. Physical fitness is really important to you. And so how did you find that? I mean, you couldn't move, presumably for a length of time. I mean, how long was it?
I mean, I had the injury for years. I had the injury for 10 years. My left knee had no ACL, and it started to deteriorate, which meant that my left leg was slowly bending inwards. So I would have had a limp for the rest of my life if I didn't get it sorted. And I had an amazing doctor in London that I saw who gave me some real stern advice and said, look, you need to change your life, and you need to change this now because it's going to get worse. Basically, he said to me after seeing my x-ray, and you've met me, Jason, and I walked in and I was full of banter. I was having a laugh with him and chatting away about a few things. And he just said, look, we need to look at your x-ray. And it was the first time that he'd seen it. And he looked at me and he said, I know it's all been fun and games, talking to you, Ollie, and it's a pleasure to meet you, but I'm a 50-year-old man, and looking at your knee now, you've got a 50-year-old knee and you're only 35. And I was like,
can I just say I'm 50? There's nothing wrong with a 50-year-old knee, right? I just want to point out that you said that like it's the worst thing you could possibly have is a 50-year-old knee. Well, I've got two of them. No, thanks, Els. I've got two of those things.
No, it's not.
I'm joking. I know what you mean. I am joking.
I know you are, but it's very funny. But he said, he basically said to me, by the way, I've seen you run and you're all over the place. Jesus. And just no one says it to you, Jason, because we all love you so much.
Yeah.
But no, I from that moment on, I just went, well, I need to make a change. So I did. And it was tough at first, but mentally, I never for 1 second, I mean, my manager, Sarah, after a few months of doing this, she just said, like, you're coping with this so well. Like, you don't even, you're not having your bad days, and, you seem really positive. And it's because I knew that I had to keep that frame of mind. I had to stay positive, knowing that if I for 1 second felt like, oh, this could end my music career because I can't dance or sing on stage, I was
going to say, why is it the end of your music career? I thought all of a sudden you were singing through your knee, but I know what you mean.
No, I can still sing, but for anyone that's come and seen me in concert would know that I'm an entertainer, I'm a performer. Exactly. And so for someone like me that can't move around the stage would ruin my performance. It wouldn't be the same me. So I just never for 1 second felt like if I let that cloud over me and I think about that too much, then I'm going to get myself into a bad place here. So I needed to stay positive. And I've always had that sort of mindset. And I did. I got through. I worked my rehab hard. My physio was with me most days. I know that I'm in a very privileged position to be able to do that. I know that when I originally went to get my ACL done in 2007, I couldn't have that sort of rehab. And I didn't do the actual reconstruction then because 10 years ago, I couldn't afford to do that. I had to work. I understand I'm very lucky. So for them 6 months, I worked really hard knowing that I'm very lucky to be able to do this and I want to get back doing what I love. I did. I worked extremely hard, but I'll be honest with you, lockdown has been so much harder.
Is that because, I was going to come on to that, is that because in January, so for example, you just done all that rehab, you worked really hard to do all that. And then January, of course, at that point, you'd already started this again, transformation. You've already been fit, healthy, slim, that kind of thing. But of course, if you can't move and everything else, you rely on exercise. Then of course, I know that you said you'd put on an extra coat that you didn't know existed, and you want to get the coat off, and you did it kind of rapid. I mean, you were there in January, and like you said, because people say, "Oh, he did that all coming to Juicy Oasis." I went, "No, he didn't." And you had to put everybody right. I said, "No, he didn't." I think you dropped 10 pounds while you were at Juicy O, but actually, you'd already started the journey before then, and you continue the journey afterwards, and you don't live on, and it's the confusing part that people have. Oh, does that mean they just live on? Far from it. I mean, far from it. I mean, Ollie's what I call a real eater. That's what I explained to you. You know what I mean? No, but what I mean by that is you're real. And that's what I love about your Instagram. one minute you go, oh, I'm having a juice. Next thing you go, oh my God, I can't believe the muffins got me. Not quite that, but and people relate to that and they like that. So you were on this mission, you think, and then lockdown hit. Is lockdown harder because you felt like it just put you back a bit? Why is lockdown harder, do you think?
No, it was a bit of everything. It was, me very excited about a lot of things planned this year, as lots of people listening probably did. Holidays, I had Soccer Aid coming up, I had The Voice to finish, I had all these exciting things planned for work and what I was going to do next, and my TV company. I just had loads of, from a work perspective, I had loads of exciting things, and I had a new haircut. I just felt like this was a new me. It was a new year. 2020 was like a new time for me. I did 10 years as the guy with the quiff from X Factor, and I felt like 2020 was, a new me. I had an amazing new girlfriend, and lockdown just kind of sidetracked it all and slowed it all down. And I found comfort by eating things that I loved and eating chocolate. And I was sort of struggling to find, not happiness, that sounds really deep, but, I was just struggling to enjoy my days. I wasn't really excited about anything. I was obviously hounding my girlfriend to do TikTok videos. She obviously works, and I've got the same sort of brain and same energy as you, Jason. I have to be doing something, and my manager Sarah knows me very well, and my friends do, and my tour manager Mark, and all of them know me so well, and they know my family, and I have to be doing something. So at first I was doing Lego, and I saw the Lego.
I saw the Lego post, and they just made me smile a lot. I thought, here's somebody who doesn't mind just going, do you know what? I'll be a kid. I don't care what you think.
Exactly. But I'll be honest with you, on the surface, it looks like I was having loads of fun in lockdown. I had loads of pranks with Amelia. It was all, amazing. But I've had some really tough days and really low days, and days where I just was thinking, like, what's my purpose? Like, what?
And that's the key word there.
And the worry the worry and the fear of not knowing. Like, my life, I've always felt like I was in control of what I was doing next and where I was going next and who I was seeing next. I feel like most people in this lockdown have probably felt the same. It's that.
Well, you suddenly realise, Ollie, it's a very good point you make. You suddenly realise you're not in charge of the board game. Life is a board game, and you think you make the moves. And I'm very much of that ilk. I think everybody really has struggled with that more than anything else. Variety is one of the 6 human needs that we require. We have to have variety. We have to have love and connection as well, but real connection. And not just with one person either. And that's not to down our partners or anything else. We need variety, even variety of connection. And I think the biggest challenge with lockdown in every area has been that. But what I think will come from this, and I don't know whether you feel the same, is that when we come out of this, that there's always going to be some take home. There's always going to be something good that comes of this. And whether it's gratitude, the fact that we've learned to slow down a little bit at least, and appreciate some things. I don't know. Is there any take homes that you're going to have from lockdown?
Yeah, I of course. I feel like I've connected so much more with, there's been quite a few actually. I feel like I've really connected, and my bond with my family, my friends is a lot stronger. I feel like I've made more time for them. And although, I do make a lot of time for my friends and family when I can, obviously, but I just feel like I've spoke to them a lot more. I feel like I'm more connected with people, and I feel like I want to socialize even more. I went for a picnic recently the other day because I'm allowed to go out.
You're allowed to go out
now. With, and not feeling like I've got to look over my shoulder. There could be a pat there, and I'm not allowed to be there. I was, honestly, it really freaked me out. But now that I'm allowed, me and my girlfriend went for a picnic, and we were 2 meters away from one of her friends. It was her birthday, and it was just amazing. It's the first picnic I've been on in years, and I just remember thinking, I want to do this more often. I want to see my friends without having to go to the pub or a club or on a holiday or here. I feel like the simple things are the things that I'll miss the most after lockdown, and I will try and keep doing. And and just, I think me and my girlfriend, it's been really amazing for us.
Listen, Ollie, I tell you what, look, you have not only have you survived lockdown, you survived lockdown with a new relationship where you hadn't really been tested. I mean, this is a major feat, and you're pranks you've played on each other. And listen, by the way, anyone listening that has it, just go back on Ollie's Instagram post. Listen, you've had a couple of major milestones as well happen during lockdown. And so I want to know how these went. First of all, you had your birthday during lockdown. I saw what Amelia done. I mean, unbelievable. I thought, when you're just mentioning that, I think she's moved in. Make sure she doesn't move out. If that's what she does, if that's the kind of person she is, don't ever let her go. So she's obviously a magic maker. I mean, it looked like you had a good birthday, even under the circumstances.
You know what? It was amazing. And I'm very lucky considering it was lockdown. I mean, how she hid the presents from me and I don't know how she done it all, but she just did a great birthday. And I woke up in the morning and because I'm really bad in the mornings, but she got me up in the morning. First off, she woke me up in the morning through a family Zoom chat. And by the way, when I mean I just woke up, like my eyes, all I remember is the blinds going up and she's like, happy birthday. And as I looked on the iPad screen, all my family had banners and balloons. They were saying happy birthday, which was a perfect start. And then I walked into the kitchen and she had all these presents that were sent from me, from my family. And she did this amazing thing. She's so thoughtful, my girlfriend. And I hope it continues. And because it's so amazing.
You're hoping she's not lying during the audition. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah.
Just to get the part.
Yeah. Oh, it's very good. No, I just hope that because she's so amazing. I know she will because she's just such a thoughtful person. But it was amazing. It made me feel really special, and then I just had a great day, and it was was
good. I mean, it's not every day you turn 49. You're looking good, so it's good. No, you're looking because what you didn't want last year.
Jason, I told you that in confidence. All right, you tell people.
You look great. Must be all the juice you're drinking. There you go. I got it in. Now, just take you back a little bit. We're not going to go on too much longer. Obviously, I don't want to take up too much of your time, Ollie. I mean, I could do about 20 podcasts with you, to be honest with you. I mean, I've looked through some of the background info, and what normally happens is that it gets sent to me like literally 15 minutes before because I like people to learn while I'm learning at the same time. And I didn't know you'd been knocked back from X Factor twice before you actually went on to, I would say, win the series. And we'll get onto that in a minute because ultimately you were the winner. I know Joe McKeldry won it, but you ultimately won. At the time, it wouldn't have felt like it, but your audition was incredible, very superstitious. So I want to get onto that because I remember walking with you and we talked about this and I had no idea. First of all, I didn't know you'd been knocked back twice, but I mean, that's tenacity. What made you, in fact, for people listening, especially young people going, well, I've been knocked back. And in today's world, if you get knocked back once, most people just give up. So what was it inside you that went, well, I'm going to go again? I mean, and what stages were you knocked out twice before from the show?
I just wasn't happy with how I represented myself in the auditions that I had previous. I just wasn't going to accept a no. I don't know what it was, Jason. I can't put my finger on it, but I just wasn't going to accept some snotty gentleman in a room with his iPads look down at me and just go, no, sorry, not this year. And I just thought, no, what? I'm going to get in front of Simon Cowell. I'm going to do it. I don't care.
Because that's the hard part, isn't it? It's the hard part is to get in front of the judges.
People don't know, there's, lots of stages before you get to see the coaches, but I was like, you know what? If someone's going to tell me that I'm useless and I'm rubbish at singing and I'm wasting my time, it will be Simon Cowell. So I just had this vision and I just wanted to change my life. I felt like I had something to give to the entertainment industry. I felt there was an inner desire and an inner feeling that just made me think, this is it. I've got something. I know that there's something about me that people will like, or there's a job here for me. I don't know what it is. And, I went twice, I failed, and I just kept going. I remember being in Australia, traveling for 3 months. I was having the time of my life. I was in paradise in Australia. I was having the most amazing time, traveling on my own. And I remember being on a balcony with a guy called Matty B. All his mates had a B on the end. It was very weird, but they were from North London. And Matty B was on the balcony, he was having a few glasses, and he turns around to me and says, you should stay in Australia. I said, what do you mean? He goes, why are you going home? You don't need to. We can get you sponsored. We'll get you a visa. You could spend another 12 months here. We can have the best time. Because we was having the best time. We can stay here. You could probably get in 2 or 3 years of residency here. And he was sort of selling me this amazing dream. And I let him speak for like 10 minutes. And I said, Matty, I'm not going to stay here. He was like, but why? And I said, no joke. I went, I'm going to go back and do X Factor. And he looked at me with the weirdest face and the shock. And he just burst into laugh. He just couldn't stop laughing, Jason. He laughed in my face. to the point that he went, Gavin, come out here. Johnny B, come out here. He grabbed about 3 of the housemates that lived with him that are all from London. He went, you've got to listen to this. Like, Ollie basically won't stay in Australia, live the dream, travel this amazing country, change his life because he thinks he's going to go on X Factor and have a music career. And they were all laughing at me. It was something out of a film. And I remember looking at him going, wow. I mean...
Yeah, but knowing what I know about you already, that would have just driven you.
And he turned around to me and he went, okay then, sing for us. I went, I'll stop being an idiot. I'm not going to sing for you. He goes, no, go on. If you really think you're going to win X Factor, sing for us now. And I said, I'm not going to sing for you now. I said, just wait and see. And you know what? That spurred me on.
But I want to hear about your audition song because I remember you telling me the story.
Oh, yeah.
That is brilliant. So you, what was the original song that you were going to sing?
So I sat at the O2. I got there late and I remember thinking, why have I done this? I've been here twice before. I should have known that there was going to be a queue overnight or there'd be hundreds of thousands of people here because they basically said at the O2 it's first come, first served.
Right.
So I turned up at 9 o'clock thinking that was a good time. Well, when I got there, it was rammed. Always been a great blagger and a salesman. I managed to squeeze my way to the front. I was Brilliant. In the last row of the O2 and I sat there all day and I was singing Paolo Nutini, New Shoes. It was one of my favourite songs at the time. I got some new shoes on suddenly. Yeah, it was a great song. I love the vibe. It was very much me. And I went down and I was in a band at the time. And the guy, Dave, who was the MD of the band, a musical director, he said...
Was that the Small Town Blaggers?
No, this was the F2K. They did all loads of functions and stuff. And they had me as like a backing singer to the main girl. And they said to me, can you learn Superstition to help her out in case, during the show she needs you and stuff? I said, yeah, cool. So I was learning it at the time. So then all of a sudden, I'm walking down the O2 and there was these 20 booths. There's all these different queues of people in different lines. And you just get some random industry person. It could be anyone that works in the music industry or works on TV. So I stand in front of this guy and he says, hi, what's your name? And he looked at me like, what's your name? I went, it's Ollie. Ollie who? Olly Murs. Where are you from? Essex. Right. What are you going to sing? And I said, right, I'm going to sing Paolo Nutini, New Shoes. I'm going to tell you exactly what he said. I'm not going to pull any A. He went, for fuck's sake. he goes, if I hear fucking Kings of Leon, Sex on Fire, if I hear Paolo Nutini, New Shoes, or Bridge Over Fucking Troubled Water again, he said, I'm going to lose my mind. I've been here all day and that's all I bloody heard. He said, can you sing anything else, please? Have you got anything else to sing? And I mean, for that 30 seconds, Jason, and I'm sure there's people listening that have been in a position like that at work or someone's put you on the spot and you've got to think of something. That 30 seconds felt like an hour. Yeah. And I had to think. And the only song, this sums up my personality and who I am. The only 2 songs I could think of at the time was Mysterious Girl, Peter Andre, and Sex on the Beach. I want to have sex. Yes. For some reason, they're the only songs that came in my mind. And I'm thinking, fuck, what am I going to do? And then I just, for one moment, the light bulb went bing. Wow. And then I sung Superstition. And then that was it. I sung it in front of him. And I mean, it was like this now. I just went,
Come on, give us a few bars. Come on.
Very superstitious, the writing's on the wall. And I just started singing it.
Wow.
And then the guy looked at me and he went, you're through. And I was like, oh my God. And then that was it. After every round of auditions, I just sung Superstition. And then all I remember is the next minute I'm backstage at the Excel Centre in London. I can hear Simon Cowell in the background echoing, going, no, it's a no. It's a no. And the crowd are booing, boo. And all I can hear is him in the background and echoing his loud voice. No, it's a no. Sorry, not this year. You're rubbish. You sound like a cat. It was just like, I've seen babies sing better than you. And I thought, like, I'm sat there going, God, this is really not going well. And then I just composed myself, sat there and said, you know what? If this is meant to be, it's meant to be. If this is what I'm supposed to do for the rest of my life, I need to step up now. If I want to prove to people that I can sing and dance and be the person that I believe I can be, this is my moment. And I just walked out there and you can watch the audition,
Well, I think everybody should. Anybody who's listening, if you're from overseas and I don't know, you've been under a rock, you haven't heard of Olly Murs for whatever reason, go to YouTube. No, but honestly, go to YouTube and just put in the X Factor audition because it is one of the single most watched auditions in X Factor history, and for good reason. I watched it again last night, oddly, because I knew that obviously we were recording, and I watched it while you were at the retreat as well. And every time I see it, you can never get bored of it. And one of the times, there's a couple of little smirks that you do, but there's one in particular where Simon just smirks. He just suddenly realizes that actually what he's got in front of him isn't just another audition. And you can see his face change. And I saw your face change. And I think you knew at the time you nailed it, didn't you? You must have known.
Well, no, I mean, even talking about it now, like, it gets me not emotional, but I just get like goosebumps, and I think back to that moment. And you're right, like, you know, when Simon said to me, listen, everyone, it doesn't matter who you are, you know, Jason, if you was auditioning for a show and you don't really care what the other judges say.
No,
it's not, true, that's not horribly, because
no, but you don't.
You know, don't get me wrong. I love Louis, I love Danny and Cheryl. So like, I'm sat in front of these amazing people, and I just wanted to know what Simon thought of me. And when Simon said, this is the easiest yes I've ever given, and you're talking about this guy at the time was, well, he still is the biggest judge in the world. He's on the biggest show on American Idol. He's seen some of the biggest stars, and he's telling me that I am the easiest yes he's ever given. That was like, wow. Like, I couldn't even...
Especially when you've been knocked back twice before, and that's the tenacity that I was talking about. You know, the young people today, instant gratification world. You've had a few sliding door moments. One was in Australia, and there's two kinds of people, I think, Ollie. The kind of people that actually, when somebody's negative to them and say you can't do something, all it does is drive them to make sure that I'm going to show you. You're clearly that person, and other people aren't like that, but you clearly are.
Yeah, no, and I'll be honest with you, and this is not a dig at my family. I love my family to bits. They've always been so supportive in everything that I've done. And, you know, they were always very realistic with me, and they were managing my goals and expectations, you know. And by what I'm about to say, it's not saying that my parents were bad parents or my family was not very nice. They just didn't support me in my music journey and my dream. And that wasn't because they didn't believe in me. They just felt that
they knew the odds. Ollie, in fairness to them, they knew the odds, didn't they?
Exactly.
They knew the odds.
And whenever I had this conversation, I always have to sort of make sure that people are aware, like, the odds of being a pop star or a singer are like a million, or like 3 trillion to 1 or something. Like, there's so many people that want to be that person. So when I sort of said to my parents, like, I'm 25, I'm going to go part-time, I'm going to work at a call center and just earn peanuts, and I'm just going to try and be an entertainer and performer and sell records and be a multi-platinum, triple platinum selling artist. Yeah. At the time, they were like, you're fucking mad. You know, like, what did we create here? And then, you know, that was sort of, again, my driving force to sort of prove to my family. And I remember when it did happen, you know, Dad did this amazing interview on X Factor, or on my actual documentary show. And he basically turned around and said, what do we know? You know, Ollie basically said, Ollie told us he wanted to be an international superstar and sell records and be a #1 platinum artist. And we sort of laughed at him. But what do we know? And for anyone listening to this, it's like, I always say, it doesn't matter if my parents were driving me to auditions or they weren't driving me to auditions. It all comes from you. You have to have that inner desire and ambition that, you know, your parents can't give you. They can only take me to the ocean. I've got to swim, you know.
And there's also, it's never going to be the case, because generational differences come into play. When I was growing up, obviously, the parents at the time, my mom was a job for life. It's like the very second I said, well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to actually stop a job in order to pursue something else. She went, you're going to stop? I mean, the freak out that happened. And my mom was the single most supportive human and best friend that
amazing. You told me the story of your mom.
And she really is. But the point is that even from that generation, when I said I was going to write a book, I mean, bear in mind, I was, you know, heavily dyslexic. I couldn't even read books, let alone write them. And when I said I was going to write a book, for the first time ever, she was like, oh, that's nice. You know, like, she'd support anything, but she looked at me like I'd just grown 20 heads.
Yeah.
But, you know, Napoleon Hill in 1953 said, whatever the mind can believe and conceive, it can achieve. And you embody that. And
that is so true. But, you know, I just want to reiterate, like you said earlier, my parents were just managing my expectations, and that's not, you know, they weren't, you know.
Well, they just want the best for you.
Sorry, I just want to say, I've always been very realistic, and my team used to always, and I think that's probably why I'm still down to earth, because they still manage my expectations now. You know, my mum and dad will say, well, yeah, you might be a triple platinum selling artist, but you don't come into my house and leave your shoes, or walk into our house with, you know, and walk through the house on our carpet with your shoes on. Go and take them off. My mum and dad, even if I do something successful, they'll say, yeah, it's great, you've got number one, Ollie, like, we're really proud of you, but, you know, go and get the next one. And then sort of now they've kind of installed this other side of it where it's kind of like they keep that drive in me not to rest on my morals. So
but also, do you find people just get used to your success, Ollie, as well? And that's part of the challenge as well, is that we all want positive feedback. We all need it. We all thrive from it. We all want somebody going, oh my God, that's an incredible feat you just did. But of course, the people you're around the most are the ones that kind of take your success for granted. I mean, like,
yeah, of course, but I think they're just like overwhelmed. I don't think I never expected.
How did they react when Please Don't Let Me Go went straight to number one and you beat Katy Perry, Teenage Dream? I mean, it wasn't just one of her dodgy songs.
I just remember.
I mean, you beat Katy Perry.
I need to tell this story. Because it's so funny. I just remember sat at Epic Records doing this interview of Heat Magazine. And I'm in this meeting and I'm talking to Heat Magazine and I thought there's no chance I'm getting number one. And the woman says to me, what will you do if you get number one and you beat Katy Perry? I was like, well, I'll do a naked photo shoot for your magazine, right? And I remember walking out of that meeting and Sarah, my manager, was like, how'd it go? And I was like, oh, it went amazing. And then the woman was like, yeah, it was a fantastic chat. And Olly has said, if he gets number one, he's doing a naked photo shoot for us. And my manager looked at me, Sarah was like, what have you done? But then I sort of looked at her and I thought, shit, like,
did you do it?
Sarah actually really believes we're going to do this. Yeah. And it was kind of like, shit, maybe this might actually come true. And honest to God, when I said what I said, I honestly didn't believe.
No, well, you wouldn't have said it, would you?
I thought that it might get some headlines and you know, we say things as artists that we know that it might get a bit of traction for the single coming out. You know, it might do something, but I never expected to actually get number one. So Sarah basically messaged me saying, congratulations, I hope you've been doing your press ups because you've got to get naked this week. I never forget that message. And I remember thinking, I've just got number one. I'm so excited. And I'm thinking, oh shit, I've got to get naked this week. And,
what have you done? I remember Gary Lineker, the same thing when he said that if Leicester win the Premiership, then he's going to do it.
And he did.
And he had to do it. And so presumably you did it, right?
Yeah, I did it. I mean, you can see it on the internet. It's
okay, well,
I just remember the photo.
Thanks, Charles. I mean, you know, it's not going to be the first thing I click on.
It's not going to be. If you Google Olly Murs naked, I think that would be just hilarious.
I will. Listen.
The fact that Kate finds your Google search.
Oh, that would be hilarious. Yeah, she's already a little bit worried about me and you anyway. But anyway. We need to do a part two of this at some point. But the albums that you've released, you have 6 albums since then, in case you don't know. I'm not saying to people listening, in case you don't know, that was the name of the album, which was in case you don't know. Right Place, Right Time. I'm not saying that you're in the right place, right time listening to this podcast now. That is actually another name of an album. Never Been Better. That's the triple platinum. 24 hours. How long roughly does it take to listen to that one, Oz? No,
we should have done a 24 hours album, to be fair.
We should. Yeah, you should have. Yeah. I know. Who comes up with the title of the
well, I know all of these titles, apart from the first album, are actually tracks on the album. So these are songs that I'd written and songs that I was proud of, or songs that sort of represented how I was at the time. But I just want to say, for anyone listening that's bought an album or listened to my songs at any point, whether you've liked them or hated them, or, you know, whether you just danced to it once and you've never listened to it ever again, thank you. Like, honestly, my life has changed so much. But, you know, just if my music has helped you in any way, or it's got you through a bad period, or it makes you happy, like, that makes me, it's changed my life being a singer and an artist, and I'm very, very grateful.
I want to do a part two of this at some point, right? Maybe in the future, because I mean, there's so much stuff. I mean, the massive walk you did for comic relief, the fact that you are captain in Live Aid, the fact that you were semi-professional football, the fact, and there's List, the fact that you did, you know, film debut, Spies in Disguise, 100. I mean, there's tons. The Voice, what made you join The Voice? I mean, that's for another time, obviously, and all this stuff. There's so much that I thought we were going to get through, but then at the same time, I thought just one part of your life, you can talk for so long just about that particular part. So I want to finish with this. Lightheartedness that I want to finish on. So I didn't know that you'd appeared on Deal or No Deal.
Yeah.
You know this, right? Now, so in 2007, for those that don't know, and if you don't know the game, it was where there was several boxes and it was a pointless game. Now,
there's no skill involved.
There was no skill involved, but people thought that their spirit somehow led them to a particular number, which was always hilarious because Noel Edmonds equally felt the same thing. But of course, when it had no money in, then obviously their spirit wasn't working. Had nothing to do with the number. Anyway, they put in the game, Deal or No Deal, in a bid to earn some quick cash in 2007. And I believe you walked away with the massive sum. By the way, you can win 250 grand on this show, just to put it in perspective. And that's way back in 2007. At the time, I think you could have done with the money, Oz. How much did you walk away with?
£10.
Let me ask you another question, because I went down to the Deal or No Deal studios once. Don't even ask why. A friend of mine was a fan and we ended up sitting in the audience. I mean, that was a bad day. I'm never going to get back. Anyway, £10. How much did it cost you for food and drink the night before, or travel to get down?
I'll be honest with you. That was the funniest thing about it, was that actually that I never checked in the tenner because I wanted to keep the check to always have it, the namesake. And what made me laugh the most is about a year or 4 months, because there was all these rumours that if for anyone that didn't do well on the show, they'd invite you back and you could redo the show again and they'd give you another chance. And I don't know why that was. I think it was just a myth that all us contestants that basically did really badly, we always felt that Noel Edmonds might ring us up. So I remember 4 months after it aired, and obviously I won a tenner and I had to check. I had a phone call. I remember being upstairs at my house and Mum goes, "Ollie." I was like, "Yes," because the phone's gone. It's Deborah from Deal or No Deal. And I've rushed downstairs. I've put the phone to my chest. I've gone, "Oh my God." And Mum's looking at me like, "They're going to invite you back." I'm like, "Yes." I was like, "Hello." And she's like, "Oh, hi, Ollie. It's Deborah here from Deal or No Deal. How are you?" You're like, "Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Listen, just a quick, I work on the account side of things. We've noticed that you haven't checked in your £10. You haven't done your check. You haven't checked it in. If you don't check that in, or if you don't, was it cash you? So you
cash the check. Yeah, if you don't cash the check.
If you don't cash that check in the next 3 weeks, the check will be void. If you could just let us know what you plan to do, we just want to let you know." I just said to her on the phone, I said, "Listen, you can cancel the check. I'm never checking it in." So I never actually checked it in.
Yeah, but do you know what? You do a hell of a lot for charity. However, when you returned to Deal or No Deal later on in your bid to do something for charity, once you got celebrity status and people knew who you were, you went back on the show. Now, this is even funnier. Now, so by the way, can I just say, this is an interesting fact. I'm the only person in the history of Deal or No Deal to go on the show twice, because I went on the normal show and I also went on the celebrity version. So I'm the only person in the history of the show to have done it twice. Yeah, now normally that's a big up. Your first time was £10. Your second time that you were playing for charity, how much did you how much did you raise for you?
50p.
You won 50 pence for your charity.
So bad. So after we finished the show, we were like, "Oh my God, this is awful. Like, I've come here for a charity." You know, we was hoping to, to at least get, 10, 15, 20,000, something like that. And that would be so amazing. So in the end, I think I donated 10 grand or stuff like that back, because I felt so awful. So I ended up giving the charity my own money, and I just said to them, I feel so bad. So I ended up donating it myself, because I just felt so awful.
But do you know what I would have done? That's a brilliant thing to do. Not everybody would have done that. It's the kind of thing that George Michael used to do. He was a real magic maker as well. I used to watch the show, George Michael, and he would see somebody hasn't won, and he would just literally, and people only found out about what he did afterwards. After he passed away, people realized just actually what a philanthropist he was. However, I'm going to finish on this. I've got 2 boxes. Genuinely, I'm not making this up. You can't see. I know it's a podcast. I've got 2 boxes in front of me. The Deal or No Deal, right? One has 50 pence in it. Right? For old school times. The other one has another invitation to a Juicy Oasis or Juicy Escape of your choice when that opens at some point for another session. So one's got number 7 on it. The other one's got number 10 on it. Which box would you like to pick to open?
Well, I'm going to open number 7 because I'm a big Manchester United fan. That is a number that I love very much. Cristiano Ronaldo, David Beckham, wore that number.
Stuart Pearson. Don't forget Stuart Pearson back in 1977-78. I'm a huge Man United fan. So
George Best, some of the greatest players have worn that. Eric Cantona. So I'm going to go with 7.
Well, let me.
Oh, please tell me my run on Deal or No Deal has come to an end.
Ollie.
Yes.
You chose number 7.
Yeah.
One box had 50p. The other one had a trip to the retreat. And please say he's only got a trip to the retreat, everybody. Come on, the ending of Deal or No Deal. And I actually knew you were going to choose number 7 because you're a Man United fan and I'm a Man United fan. I used to wear number 7 shirt when I played football. And if you're a Man United fan, number 7 shirt just resonates. So I kind of guessed that you would pick it. Olly Murs, I can't thank you enough for being on. I know we've only touched on several things. I really appreciate your time. You are unbelievably busy. Even on lockdown, people try and get your time. And that's why I thought I'd be a pest like everybody else and say, Olly, quick. So triple platinum album, artist, amongst other things, and model, let's not forget. Olly Murs, thank you very much for being on the podcast, everybody. Come on.